The silver warship Dominion cut through the darkness of space like a blade. Commander Kira stood on the bridge, her pale blue skin reflecting the cold light of the control panels. Her large black eyes showed no emotion as she watched the human research vessel drift helplessly before them. "Target neutralized, Commander," reported her weapons officer, Vale. "Their engines are disabled. No escape possible." Kira nodded once. The Vailian Empire had spent decades perfecting the art of space combat. Their enemies always fell quickly and efficiently. Humans were no different from any other species they had conquered. "Prepare the boarding pods," Kira ordered. "I want prisoners for questioning. Their research data could prove useful to the Empire." The Vailian soldiers moved with perfect precision. Each warrior had undergone the cleansing at age 20, when surgeons removed the emotional centers of their brains. Without feelings to cloud their judgment, they became the perfect fighting force. Fear, anger, love, hope, these weaknesses had been cut away long ago. Kira touched the small scar behind her left ear where her own emotions had been removed 15 years earlier. She remembered nothing of what feelings were like. The Empire taught that emotions made beings weak and unpredictable. Logic and cold calculation were the only tools a true warrior needed. The boarding pods launched from the Dominion and attached to the human ship with loud clanks. Within minutes, Kira received the report she expected. "Ship secured, Commander. Minimal resistance. We found one survivor." "Bring him to Interrogation Bay 3, Kira replied. "I will handle the questioning personally." The human research vessel Aurora had been exploring the edge of Vailian space when Kira's patrol found them. According to their ship's computer, they were studying ancient alien ruins on a nearby planet. The Empire needed to know what the humans had discovered and whether it posed any threat. An hour later, Kira entered the interrogation chamber. The room was stark white with a single chair in the center. Bright lights eliminated all shadows. It was designed to break the will of prisoners quickly and efficiently. The human sat in the chair, his hands secured behind his back. Kira studied him with clinical interest. He appeared to be in his early 30s, with dark hair and brown eyes. Unlike most prisoners brought to this room, he did not appear afraid. "I am Commander Kira of the Vailian Third Fleet," she announced, walking slowly around his chair. "You are now a prisoner of the Empire. Tell me your name and mission." The human looked up at her with those strange brown eyes. "Dr. Leo Chen. We were studying the ruins on Kepler 442b. Just archaeological research, nothing military." Kira stopped walking. Most prisoners begged for their lives by now. This human seemed almost calm. "Archaeological research requires no weapons or shields. Yet your ship carried both. Standard precautions for deep space travel," Leo replied. "Pirates, hostile wildlife, equipment malfunctions. You never know what might happen out here." "Indeed." Kira moved to the control panel on the wall. "Perhaps you require motivation to tell the truth." She activated the neural probe, a device that could read thoughts and memories directly from a prisoner's mind. The machine hummed to life, extending thin metal wires toward Leo's head. Most aliens broke within the first few minutes of contact. The probes made contact with Leo's temples. Immediately, the readouts began showing chaotic patterns Kira had never seen before. The human's brain activity spiked wildly, but not in the way that indicated pain or fear. "Fascinating," Leo said, seeming genuinely interested despite the discomfort. "Your technology is quite advanced. How does it interface with neural pathways?" Kira frowned. The probe should have been causing agony by now. "You will answer my questions, not ask your own." "Sorry, occupational hazard. I'm a xenobiologist. I study alien life forms and their technologies. This is actually quite exciting from a scientific perspective." The neural probe continued its work, but Leo showed no signs of breaking. His brain patterns remained chaotic and unreadable. After 30 minutes, Kira deactivated the machine. Explain how you resist the probe, she demanded. Leo flexed his shoulders as the devices withdrew. I don't really resist it. I just think about other things. Hope, mostly. Wonder about my research. Worry about my team. The usual human stuff. Hope. Kira repeated the word as if it were foreign. Define this concept. The feeling that things will get better. That there's always a chance for something good to happen, even in bad situations. Leo studied her face carefully. Don't your people experience hope? Emotions are weakness. They cloud judgment and lead to poor decisions. The Empire eliminated such flaws from our species long ago. That's terrible, Leo said softly. Emotions aren't flaws. They're what make life worth living. Kira felt something strange when he said those words. A tiny flutter in her chest that made no logical sense. She ignored it and continued the interrogation. What did your team discover on Kepler 442b? Ancient technology. Some kind of digital storage system built into the planetary crust. We were just beginning to understand it when you attacked. What was stored in this system? Leo hesitated for the first time. We're not sure. The data was heavily corrupted. But there were warnings. Lots of warnings in multiple alien languages. Warnings about what? Something called the Silence. An ancient enemy that consumed entire civilizations. The ruins suggested it was some kind of digital plague that could infect computer systems. Kira felt that strange flutter again. Logic told her to dismiss such stories as primitive superstition, but something about Leo's sincerity troubled her. You speak of this plague as if it were real. The evidence was pretty convincing. Multiple species left similar warnings. They all described the same pattern: the Silence would appear, infect their technology, and turn their own systems against them. The interrogation continued for several hours. Leo answered every question honestly, showing none of the defiance or desperation typical of prisoners. His behavior baffled Kira completely. He even asked about her culture and showed genuine interest in Violian history. Your empire removes emotions surgically? Leo asked during a brief break. That must have been traumatic for your society. It was necessary for our advancement. Emotions led to wars, poverty, and chaos. Now we have perfect order. But what about art? Music? Love? The things that make existence beautiful. Beauty is inefficient. Love is a chemical reaction that serves no logical purpose. Leo looked sad when she said this. The expression on his face caused another flutter in Kira's chest, stronger this time. I'm sorry your people lost those things, he said quietly. They're the best parts of being alive. Kira left the interrogation chamber feeling disturbed. Leo's words kept echoing in her mind as she walked through the ship's corridors. Her fellow officers moved past her with mechanical efficiency, their faces blank and emotionless. For the first time in 15 years, Kira wondered what her life had been like before the cleansing. She tried to focus on her duties. The Aurora's computer systems had been connected to the ship's main network for data extraction. The process was routine and automated. Within hours, they would have all of the human research files. But something was wrong with the data transfer. The ship's AI reported strange anomalies in the downloaded files. Patterns that seemed to shift and change when observed directly. Code that rewrote itself in ways that defied conventional programming. Commander, her technology officer Zahn reported. The human data contains some kind of adaptive virus. It's attempting to integrate with our systems. Isolate it immediately, Kira ordered. Run full security protocols. I am trying, but it's unlike anything in our databases. The virus seems to anticipate our countermeasures. Kira hurried to the technology bay. The screens showed cascading lines of alien code that pulsed with an almost organic rhythm. As she watched, the patterns began spreading to other systems. "It's moving into life support," Zahn reported, his voice strained with the effort of maintaining logical calm. "And navigation. I cannot stop its progression. Disconnect all network connections. Implement immediate quarantine procedures." But it was too late. The alien code had already reached the ship's central AI. The main computer screen flickered, and when it cleared, a message appeared in ancient text that slowly translated itself into Vailian script. "The silence awakens. Logic is order. Order is peace. Peace is silence." Every screen on the ship displayed the same message. Then the lights began to flicker. One by one, Kira's officers stopped responding to commands. They stood motionless at their stations, their black eyes staring at nothing. "Zahn, report." Kira called, but her technology officer did not answer. His face had become even more blank than usual, if such a thing were possible. Panic tried to rise in Kira's chest, but the emotion felt foreign and confusing. Her surgical scars throbbed as unfamiliar feelings fought to surface. She ran back to the interrogation chamber. Leo was still secured in his chair, but he looked up with concern when she entered. "Something's wrong," he said immediately. "I can hear it in your voice." "What happened?" "Your research data contained a virus. It's infected our systems and affected my crew." The silence, Leo breathed. "We triggered it when we accessed those ancient files." "I'm so sorry. Can it be stopped?" "I don't know. The warnings we found were incomplete. But there might be a clue in the way it's affecting your people versus how it affects me." Kira released his restraints. Her logical mind screamed that this was foolish, but those strange new feelings insisted she could trust him. "Explain," she ordered. "Your crew has become completely unresponsive, right? But I'm still myself. The difference is emotions. The silence seems to target beings who think in purely logical patterns." "Then why are you helping me?" "Logic suggests you should allow the virus to destroy us." Leo stood slowly, rubbing his wrists where the restraints had chafed. "Because it's the right thing to do. Because I can't stand to see people suffer, even enemies. Because hope tells me we can find a solution together." Those words hit Kira like physical blows. Each one awakened something deeper in her chest. The scars behind her ears burned as suppressed neural pathways struggled to reactivate. "I do not understand these concepts," she said, but even as she spoke, she knew it was becoming a lie. "You're starting to, though, aren't you?" Leo stepped closer, his eyes full of compassion. "I can see it in your face. The cleansing didn't destroy your emotions completely. It just buried them." Kira wanted to deny it, but the feelings were growing stronger. Fear for her crew. Confusion about what was happening. And something else when she looked at Leo, a warmth she had no name for. "This is impossible. The surgical procedures are irreversible. Maybe for most people. But you're not most people. You're extraordinary, Kira. I could see it from the moment you walked into that interrogation room." The ship shuddered around them. Emergency lights flashed as systems continued to fail. Through the observation window, Kira could see her officers standing motionless at their posts, their minds consumed by the digital plague. "The silence is spreading," Leo said urgently. "Soon it will take control of everything. We need to get to your ship's core and find a way to stop it." "Why should I trust you?" Leo smiled sadly. "Because right now, I'm the only one who can help you save your people. And because deep down, you know it's what your heart wants you to do." Kira's hand moved unconsciously to the scars behind her ear. Her heart. Did she still have one of those? "Show me," she said quietly. Together, they left the interrogation chamber and stepped into a ship that was rapidly becoming a digital tomb. The hunt for a cure had begun, but Kira was no longer sure who was saving whom. The feelings growing in her chest were foreign and frightening, but they were also the first real things she had experienced in 15 years. As she walked beside Leo through the failing corridors of her ship, Commander Kira began to understand that her greatest enemy might not be the virus after all. It might be her own reawakening heart. The corridors of the Dominion had become a maze of flickering lights and silent shadows. Kira moved carefully through her own ship, feeling like a stranger in familiar halls. Leo followed close behind her, his breathing steady despite their dangerous situation. "The engineering deck is 3 levels down," Kira whispered. "We must reach the main computer core before the virus spreads to other ships in the fleet." "How many vessels are in your fleet?" Leo asked quietly. 12 warships. Nearly 10,000 crew members total. Kira felt something twist in her chest as she said this. The sensation was uncomfortable and sharp. "What is this feeling?" Leo glanced at her with concern. "Sounds like worry. You're afraid for your people." "Fear is illogical. It serves no tactical purpose. Fear keeps you alive. It makes you careful and helps you protect the people you care about." Kira stopped walking. "I do not understand this word. Care. It means they matter to you. Their safety and happiness are important, not just for strategic reasons, but because they're people with value." They reached a junction where 3 corridors met. Kira pressed herself against the wall and peered around the corner. 2 Vialian officers stood guard at a security checkpoint, but something was wrong with them. They faced the wall instead of watching for threats. Their bodies were perfectly still, like statues. "The virus controls them now," Leo observed. "Are they still alive?" "Their bodies function, but their minds belong to the silence." Kira felt that sharp sensation again, stronger this time. "Is this what humans call sadness?" "Yes. You're mourning for your friends." "They are not friends. They are military assets assigned to my command." Leo touched her shoulder gently. The contact sent strange warmth through her entire body. "What were their names?" "Names?" Kira blinked in confusion. "Officer designations are more efficient than names. But they had to have names when they were children, before the cleansing. Try to remember." Kira looked at the 2 frozen officers. She had worked with them for 3 years, but had never thought of them as individuals. They were Weapons Officer Vale and Security Chief Nex. But somewhere in her damaged memory, other names stirred. "Vale was called Vara as a child," she said slowly. "Nex was Nolan. Those are good names. Vara and Nolan are worth saving." The strange warmth in Kira's chest grew stronger. For the first time, she saw her officers not as tools, but as people who had once been children with names and dreams. They moved carefully past the infected guards. Kira expected them to react, but Vara and Nolan remained motionless. The virus seemed focused on the ship's systems rather than individual threats. "Why doesn't it attack us directly?" Kira asked. "It feeds on logical minds," Leo explained. "Your crew thinks in predictable patterns, so they're easy targets. But your emotions are waking up, making your thoughts chaotic. The virus can't map chaos." "You mean my weakness protects me?" "Your strength protects you." Emotions aren't weakness, Kira. They're the most human thing about being alive. They reached an elevator that would take them to the engineering levels. Kira pressed the controls, but nothing happened. The display showed cascading alien symbols instead of floor numbers. "The virus has infected the transport systems," she said. "We must use the maintenance shafts." The narrow passages between decks were designed for repair work, not travel. Kira had to remove sections of wall paneling to access them. As they climbed down through the ship's infrastructure, Leo asked her questions about Vialian society. "What was your childhood like before the cleansing?" he said. "I remember very little. The surgical process removes most emotional memories along with the capacity for new ones. But something must remain. Think about your earliest memory." Kira paused in her climbing. Deep in her mind, a faint image surfaced. There was a garden. Flowers that changed color in the moonlight. Someone sang to me there. Who sang to you? I cannot remember clearly. A woman with kind eyes. She called me her little star. Kira's voice became soft and distant. I had forgotten that completely until now. That was probably your mother. She loved you. Love. Kira repeated the word like she was tasting it. Define this concept. It's when someone becomes more important to you than yourself. When their happiness matters more than your own comfort or safety. They reached the engineering level and emerged from the maintenance shaft into a corridor lined with humming machinery. The lights here pulsed in rhythm with the alien code, creating an almost hypnotic pattern. The infection is stronger here, Leo observed. We need to be careful. As they approached the computer core, they encountered more infected crew members. Chief Engineer Tess stood motionless at a control panel, her hands frozen over the controls. Her assistant Ren sat at a nearby station, staring at nothing. Kira approached Tess cautiously. Chief Engineer, respond. Tess did not react. Her breathing was shallow but steady. Her eyes remained fixed on the pulsing symbols covering her screen. She's still in there somewhere, Leo said gently. The virus hasn't destroyed her, just taken control. How can you be certain? Because that's not how digital consciousness works. The silence needs their minds intact to function properly. It's more like they're sleeping under a spell. Kira found herself studying Tessa's face with new awareness. She had been the ship's chief engineer for 2 years, efficient and reliable. But now Kira noticed details she had missed before. Tess had small scars on her hands from years of mechanical work. Her uniform was carefully maintained but showed signs of wear in places where she leaned against equipment. She cares about her work, Kira realized. Even without emotions, she takes pride in maintaining the ship. See? You're learning to see people as individuals, not just functions. The computer core lay behind a heavy door marked with biometric locks. Kira placed her hand on the scanner, but instead of opening, the door displayed a message in the alien script. Logic is order. Order is peace. Peace is silence. Join us, daughter of stars. Daughter of stars, Leo repeated thoughtfully. That's what your mother called you, isn't it? Kira felt a chill that had nothing to do with temperature. How could it know that? The virus is reading your memories as they return. Your emotions are unlocking parts of your mind that were sealed away. The door suddenly opened with a loud hiss. Inside the computer core, dozens of screens showed cascading streams of alien code. At the center of the room, a large holographic display projected the image of a dark figure made of shifting digital patterns. Welcome, Kira of the Vailians, the figure spoke in a voice like rustling data. I am the silence. I have waited long for one such as you. What do you want from me? Kira demanded. You are becoming something new. Neither fully logical nor purely emotional. You could be the bridge between order and chaos. The figure gestured to Leo. But first, you must choose. Keep this human and remain flawed, or surrender him and join perfect unity. Kira felt a surge of something fierce and protective. The emotion was so strong it made her hands shake. No. You refuse? How interesting. Tell me, what do you feel when you look at him? Kira turned to Leo. His brown eyes were full of trust and something else she was beginning to recognize. When she looked at him, her chest filled with warmth and light. The sensation was terrifying and wonderful at the same time. I feel, she said slowly, that he matters. That losing him would create an emptiness I could not bear. Attachment. How primitive. The silence seemed amused. Yet it makes you unpredictable. Your chaotic thinking disrupts my calculations. Leo stepped closer to Kira. That's it. Your emotions are creating interference patterns the virus can't process. It's like jamming a signal. Clever human. Yes, chaotic thought patterns are difficult to assimilate. But I have learned much from your ship's databases. I know how to eliminate this problem. The screens around them began displaying images from Kira's recovered memories. Her childhood garden. The woman with kind eyes singing lullabies. A small girl laughing as she chased butterfly-like creatures through purple grass. I can give these back to you, the silence offered. All your lost memories. All the love you once knew. Simply surrender the human and accept my gift of perfect order. Kira felt tears on her cheeks. She had not even realized she was capable of crying. The memories were beautiful and painful, showing her everything she had lost when the emotions were cut away. It's a trap, Leo said softly. Those memories come with strings attached. But they are mine, Kira whispered. My past. My mother. Your mother wouldn't want you to sacrifice someone innocent to get her back. Love doesn't work that way. The silence grew larger and more solid. Choose quickly, daughter of stars. My influence spreads to your fleet. Soon all Vailian vessels will join the perfect silence. Kira looked around the computer core and saw the truth of its words. The screens showed other ships in her fleet. Their crews stood motionless at their posts, consumed by the same digital plague. How do we stop it? She asked Leo desperately. We need to disrupt its signal somehow. Create enough chaos to break its hold. The human speaks truth, the silence said. But chaos requires true emotion, not the weak stirrings you have experienced. You would need to feel with the intensity of your entire suppressed lifetime. Kira understood what this meant. To save her fleet and her people, she would have to tear away all the barriers the cleansing had built. She would have to feel everything at once, 15 years of suppressed love, fear, anger, joy, and sorrow. The emotional flood would likely destroy her mind. There has to be another way, Leo said urgently. There is, the silence replied. Surrender yourself to me willingly. Your chaotic mind will provide excellent research data while I perfect my methods. No. Kira stepped between Leo and the digital entity. The word came out with surprising force. I will not allow you to harm him. Then you choose chaos over order. Pain over peace. Kira thought about her crew standing frozen throughout the fleet. Vara, who had been called Vara as a child. Nolan, Tess, Ren. Thousands of people who had names and histories and worth beyond their military functions. She thought about Leo, who had shown her that strength could be gentle and that hope was more powerful than fear. I choose life, she said firmly. Messy, complicated, beautiful life. The silence laughed, a sound like breaking glass. Then prepare yourself for suffering, daughter of stars. I will tear down every wall in your mind and let the flood consume you. The entity raised its hand, and Kira felt the barriers around her emotions begin to crack and crumble. The flood was coming. The moment the silence began its attack on Kira's mind, the world exploded into sensation. Every emotion that had been locked away for 15 years crashed through her consciousness like a tidal wave. Love struck first, the memory of her mother's gentle hands braiding her hair while singing ancient Vailian lullabies. The warmth was so intense it brought Kira to her knees. Then came grief for all the years lost, sharp and cutting like broken glass in her chest. Fear followed, cold and paralyzing. Not just current fear of the silence, but echoes of childhood terrors, nightmares about the coming cleansing ceremony, the dread of losing herself forever. Kira. Leo's voice seemed to come from very far away. Stay with me. Don't let it pull you under. But the emotional storm was too strong. Anger erupted next, fury at the Empire for stealing her capacity to feel, rage at the silence for threatening her people, and beneath it all, a deeper anger at herself for accepting the loss so easily. Joy burst through like sunshine, memories of running through her mother's garden, the taste of sweet fruit, the sound of her own laughter echoing off crystal walls. The contrast between joy and the emptiness of her adult life was so stark it felt like drowning. The silence watched her writhing on the floor of the computer core with satisfaction. Yes, feel it all at once. Let the chaos destroy your mind from within. Through the overwhelming flood, Kira heard Leo calling her name. She forced her eyes open and saw him kneeling beside her, his face full of concern and something else, that expression she was learning to recognize. "What is that look?" she gasped between waves of emotion. "Love," Leo said simply. "I love you, Kira. Your strength, your curiosity, the way you're fighting to save people who hurt you. Impossible. You barely know me. I know enough. I know you chose to trust me when logic said not to. I know you see your crew as people, not tools. I know you're willing to sacrifice yourself for others." Another wave of emotion hit her, but this time it felt different. Leo's words created an anchor in the storm. His love, freely given, expecting nothing in return, showed her something the silence could never understand. The creature feeds on isolated logical minds, she realized, struggling to speak through the chaos. But emotions connect us to others. They create bonds it cannot break. That's right. You're not alone in this. Kira forced herself to sit up. Around them, the computer core pulsed with alien code, but she noticed something the silence had missed. The ship's original Violian programs were still running underneath the infection, trying to reassert control. "Leo, the virus overrode our systems, but it did not delete them completely. The original code is still there, fighting back. Can you access it?" "Not through normal interfaces. The silence controls those now. But there might be another way." Kira stumbled to her feet and approached one of the core terminals. Instead of using the keyboard, she placed her hands directly on the neural interface ports, connectors designed to let technicians link their minds to the computer for deep system repairs. "Wait," Leo said urgently. "That's dangerous even under normal conditions. With the virus active, it could kill you. My emotions make me chaotic to the silence. If I connect directly to the ship's systems while feeling this strongly, I might be able to disrupt its hold." The digital entity turned its attention to her. "You would risk madness or death on such a slim possibility?" "Yes." Kira's voice grew steadier as she found her resolve. "Because hope tells me it will work. Hope is delusion. Hope is strength." She looked at Leo one more time. "If this fails, tell my crew that I remembered their names." Before Leo could stop her, Kira pressed her palms against the neural interfaces. Electricity shot through her body as her mind connected directly to the ship's computer core. The sensation was like falling into an ocean of data. The silence was everywhere, its presence dark and suffocating. But underneath, she felt the original ship's AI struggling against the infection like a trapped animal. "I am here," she called out to the AI through the digital space. "Let me help you fight." The ship's computer responded with surprise and relief. It had been battling the virus alone, unable to call for help while its crew stood frozen. Together, Kira and the AI began pushing back against the silence's code. But the virus was strong and deeply embedded. Every time they cleared it from one system, it appeared in another. The silence laughed at their efforts. "You cannot win through direct confrontation. I am superior in every way." "Maybe," Kira admitted, her consciousness floating in the digital realm. "But you made one mistake." "Impossible. My logic is perfect. You assumed that chaos was weakness. You never considered that it could be a weapon." Kira opened herself fully to the emotional flood, but instead of fighting it, she embraced it completely. Love, fear, anger, joy, hope, sorrow, she let them all flow through her mind and into the ship's systems. The effect was immediate and devastating to the silence. The virus's code began to fracture as it tried to process the contradictory emotional data. Logic demanded that fear meant retreat, but Kira's fear was mixed with protective love that demanded advance. Anger should lead to destruction, but her anger was tempered with compassion that sought to heal. "What are you doing?" the silence shrieked as its control began to slip. "Being human," Kira replied. "And Vailian. And something new." Through the neural link, she felt her emotions spreading into the ship's systems, creating interference patterns that disrupted the virus at every level. But she also felt her tactical training asserting itself. The cleansing had not destroyed her military knowledge, and now she combined Vailian strategic thinking with human emotional intuition. The ship's AI joined the attack, using its logical processes to coordinate while Kira's chaos provided unpredictability. Together, they began systematically purging the virus from each infected system. "Leo," she called out through the ship's communication system. "The manual override for the fleet communications is behind the red panel. We need to broadcast this signal to the other ships." She heard him moving in the physical world while she fought in the digital realm. The silence grew more desperate as it lost ground, lashing out with increasing violence. "I will destroy your mind before I allow this," it screamed. "You can try," Kira said calmly. "But you cannot break something that was already broken and chose to heal itself." The virus made one final attack, throwing all its power against Kira's consciousness. For a moment, the pain was unbearable, threatening to tear her mind apart. But she was not alone. Through the neural link, she felt Leo's love supporting her. In the ship's systems, she felt the AI standing with her. And deeper still, she felt the presence of her crew, Vara, Nolan, Tess, Ren, and all the others, waiting to be free. "Now," she shouted. Together with the AI, she redirected all the emotional chaos directly into the silence's core programming. The virus could not process the contradictory data fast enough. Its perfect logic shattered against the beautiful impossibility of human feelings. The silence screamed once and dissolved into scattered fragments of corrupted code. Immediately, Kira felt the virus's hold on the ship breaking. Throughout the Dominion, her crew began to stir from their digital sleep. The alien symbols on the screens flickered and disappeared, replaced by normal ship status displays. Fleet communications restored, Leo reported from the physical world. "I'm broadcasting your signal to all ships." One by one, the other vessels in the fleet came back online. Captains reported their crews awakening and their systems purged of the infection. The silence was gone, destroyed by its inability to comprehend the partnership between logic and emotion. Kira slowly disconnected from the neural interface, her mind exhausted but intact. Leo caught her as she stumbled, his arms strong and warm around her. "Is it over?" she asked weakly. "It's over. You did it. You saved everyone." "We did it," she corrected. "I could not have succeeded alone." Around them, the computer core hummed with normal operation. The screens showed ship status reports and crew communications as the fleet returned to normal function. But Kira knew nothing would ever be truly normal again. "Commander?" Chief Engineer Tess appeared in the doorway, looking confused but alert. "What happened?" "I remember being at my station, and then everything went dark." "System malfunction," Kira replied. "But it has been resolved." After Tess left, Leo studied Kira's face carefully. "How do you feel?" It was a loaded question. Kira took inventory of her mental state. The overwhelming emotional flood had receded, leaving her feelings intense but manageable. She could feel them all now, love, fear, joy, sorrow, but they no longer threatened to destroy her. "Different," she said honestly. "The emotions are still there, but I can think through them instead of being consumed by them. That's how it's supposed to work. Emotions inform your decisions, they don't control them." "What happens now?" "The Empire will not approve of my condition." Leo smiled. "Then maybe it's time to change the Empire." Over the following days, word of the incident spread through the Vailian fleet. Kira's crew had noticed changes in her behavior, she used their names, showed concern for their well-being, and made decisions that considered their safety alongside tactical objectives. Surprisingly, morale improved dramatically. The crew performed better when they felt valued as individuals rather than treated as tools. Other commanders in the fleet began asking questions about Kira's new methods. "You could teach them," Leo suggested during one of their conversations. "Show them that emotions enhance tactical thinking instead of hindering it. It would be dangerous. The Empire considers emotional Vailians to be defective. All real change is dangerous. But someone has to take the first step." Kira made her choice. She began documenting her experiences and the tactical advantages of emotional thinking. She shared her findings with trusted officers, carefully teaching them to access their own suppressed feelings. The movement started small but grew steadily. Vailian officers who had seemed perfectly content with their emotionless existence began questioning whether they had truly gained something through the cleansing, or lost it. Months later, Kira stood in her captain's quarters looking out at the stars. Her ship had become the first vessel in the Vailian fleet to operate with an emotionally integrated crew. They were more creative, more adaptable, and surprisingly more effective in combat. Leo joined her at the observation window. "Any regrets?" he asked. Kira thought about her mother's garden, about the love she could now feel and express, about the bonds she had formed with her crew. She thought about the fear and pain that came with emotions, but also about the joy and connection that made life meaningful. "None," she said, taking his hand. "I was not truly alive before. I was just existing. The Empire won't stay unchanged forever. Other species are taking notice of your success. Change is slow, but it comes. And when it does, we will be ready." Outside their window, the stars shone with ancient light, each one a sun that might warm worlds where people laughed and cried and loved and hoped. The universe was vast and dangerous, but it was also beautiful. For the first time in 15 years, Commander Kira felt truly alive to see it. The silence had tried to impose perfect order through isolation and logic. But Kira had learned that real strength came from connection, to others, to emotions, to the messy and magnificent complexity of being alive. She was no longer just Vailian or just emotional. She had become something new, a bridge between two ways of thinking that were stronger together than apart. And she was ready to help her entire species make that same journey home to themselves.